Hello, everyone. The man's eyes welled up with tears. He hadn't even told me his name yet, but there he was, opening his life's wounds and letting me put my hand gently inside. We had been standing on the corner for nearly 2 hours. Tony and I were in the first couple of years of Streetlights Outreach, and this guy and another man rolled up in a car and they asked us what we were doing. I gave him the normal Streetlights Outreach spiel, explaining that we were just out there to be present, to give folks someone to talk to, maybe help them find a meal or a shelter if needed. I expected them to drive on. That's usually what would happen. People would ask what we were doing. We'd tell them, and they'd, give us a vote of appreciation, and then they would be on their way. But instead, this guy jumped out of the car and ran around and over to me with his hand extended. So I took it. I held it actually, and noticed his eyes were already filled with tears. He explained how he had been homeless less than a year earlier and how lost and lonely he had felt through that experience. He shared his story and he opened his vulnerability to me. And in doing so, he let me reach in and touch the Christ in him. How many times have I been so blessed? How many times have others through life and death extended to me the same generous love Jesus extended to Thomas? Normally, we try to disguise our wounds. We normally try to hide our vulnerability. We don't want others to see how broken we really are. But when we open ourselves to each other in that way, Christ lives. We become believers. So I have to ask myself if I've allowed others to see and touch my wounds. Have I been too proud, too shy, too aloof? Have I been too self-protective? When we hear the story of doubting Thomas, we tend to identify with the skeptical apostle. We understand him. We relate. On some level, however, we're a bit embarrassed for him. Yet he was the only one who asked Jesus if he could touch his vulnerability, his brokenness, his humanness. And Jesus let him. Jesus opened not just his hands and his side, but also his heart, his soul, and the very essence of who he is. In our current world, the phrase, "I feel ya," is a slang expression for "I understand you, I empathize with you." It's an expression of relationship, of care and intimacy. You're hurting and I feel you. In asking to touch Jesus' wounds, Thomas is asking, can I feel you? Will you open yourself up to me? Will you allow me to empathize with you and understand you? Will you let me touch you and love you in your vulnerability? Jesus, of course, says yes. I learned on the streets that I have no right to judge another person. I don't know what floggings, what thorns and crosses they've borne. I don't know what price they've paid for the sins of others. But when they're allowing me to touch their wounds, well, they're blessing me to reach into their brokenness. This is where the risen Christ lives. During this Easter season, may we dare to live beyond ego, dare to live beyond fear, beyond vanity, beyond death. May we dare to let others see and touch our brokenness, and may we love them in theirs. May the touch of renewed love rain down upon you. May the touch of renewed love stir the heart within you. May the touch of renewed love flow from you. Journey well and pray always. Peace